extroverts don't know how to connect well with introverts. So what are some of the pitfalls, or what are some of the advice or insights that you would get from introverts to introverts?
Right.
What would you say?
Well, I'm an introvert, and so I can tell you from personal experience the things that introverts, the potholes they occasionally step in just by being with their in touch with themselves, with their own nature. Number one mistake by far in a business environment that introverts make is the overuse of email.
Overuse of email.
By far. This is number one, so far and away number one.
I do see that. I don't think I'd have won a prize if I'd have guessed on that, but you're absolutely right. I see that.
And it takes two forms. One are these long 400-word emails that, I'm sorry to tell you, don't actually ever get read, but these long emails, or these very extended email chain conversations where somebody clicks reply back. You got to pick up the telephone. It's inviting lack of clarity and miscommunication to communicate in that way. It feels natural to an introvert to communicate that way, but it's a mistake.
Why? Because how?
Because as the communication goes on, there's a whole set of assumptions going on inside the introvert's head that are not getting corrected.
Okay.
And they get corrected in the banter of a verbal conversation. So it at the end, even though that there's an hour spent detailing this very complicated email, it doesn't get read, and it actually creates more confusion.
But is it right to understand that what the introvert's trying to do is focus on details and make sure the accuracy of what's been written through the email thread, that it's accurate? Isn't that what they're trying to do?
That's true, and it may be accurate on a data level, but it may be misconstruing what the original point of the conversation was.
Yeah, and if it's not being read,
right,
then what's the point?
Exactly.
I mean, extroverts usually don't read short emails anyway.
True.
True. If the subject line doesn't say it, then when they open it up and they see 3 paragraphs of anything, no, I want to go as far as saying that an extrovert, if they see more than if they're at 3 minutes, at 3 lines,
right,
the extrovert tends to gloss over and miss it, and you know what I'm saying. So extroverts aren't really helping the introverts any.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, this next one is one that I learned from you, Maurice, by watching you actually as an extrovert. And this is, if you're an introvert, get into the habit of very expressively greeting people when they come into the room.
Wow.
Introverts have a way of sitting at a table when someone walks in, kind of looking up and looking back down, and it's as if no one actually walked in the room. And there's a lot of relationship building that happens the first 5 seconds someone walks in the room. And introverts just miss that opportunity.
You would put that high, huh?
I really would.
So your first one was careful with over-emailing.
Mm-hmm.
And a subset of that is long emails or repeated threads, conversation. Right. And you would put number 2 as greeting.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And it just would you say even a raising of the hand or a little smile, even that far, just verbally saying, how far would you go?
I would say the more within the bounds of professionalism,
okay,
the more expressive, the better. Stand up out of your chair. I mean, if people are constantly coming in and out of your room, you can't stop every 30 seconds. So
right.
Use some common sense here. But if you're in a room and someone walks in that room, stand up, walk over, shake their hand, call them by name if you know their name, take a moment to greet them, and then go back and do what you're doing. It will feel very unnatural if you're an introvert. There's a voice in your head that will say, "Why are they interrupting me?"
Yeah, and as an extrovert, I can say that the extroverts would notice it.
Yeah,
and that would catch me and perhaps some extroverts by surprise, but it would be a welcome thing.
Yes.
All right, what's another thing?
Yes. The third thing I would say is be careful of being abrupt. There's a subset of introverts that are very detail oriented and very task oriented, and you know how I said earlier, there's all this stuff going on in their heads. But doesn't necessarily come out in words right away.
Right.
Well, there's a subset of introverts, and they tend to work in jobs. Sometimes they're engineers. Sometimes they work in IT. They work in jobs where it works for them most of the time to have all this stuff going on in their heads, but they're working with their hands and thinking.
Right. Okay.
But then they go into a meeting, and they're just sitting there, or at least it looks like they're just sitting there, and then they finally make a comment, and this critical voice that's going in their head of everything that's happening in the room suddenly comes out with no warning.
Right.
And someone will say, well, what do you guys think of this? And then an introvert can sometimes blurt out, well, I think it's stupid. Well, it becomes a really messy conversation at that point because they're being honest. That is what they're thinking.
Right.
But that abrupt thing it's very much in the stream of the thoughts that were going on in their head, but no one else was aware of that. So what everybody sees around them is this sudden abrupt comment, and it becomes it can be even unprofessional depending on how it's worded, but it at least is weak communication, and it creates a barrier between you and the other people in the room.
Correct.
So
correct. That's very good. Okay. Any last comments or insights to introverts?
The last one is really just go ahead and feel like it's okay to honor the fact that being with people makes you more tired than an extrovert, and just honor that. Make sure you intentionally find time to be in a room by yourself,
and just focus on relaxing and just
exactly. What an extrovert gets out of being at a big party, an introvert gets out of being by themselves.
And a lot of extroverts don't give introverts time for that to happen.
Exactly.
Because we want to pull them into another event and another event. That's very good insight.
Exactly.
John, this has been great. For me, it's been very painful because I've had to stay quiet a lot of the time. But that's in order to work well with introverts, the extroverts have to do their part.
Exactly.
Right? And it's tough. It's painful for everybody. But that's what people skills and leadership skills create.
That's it.
Excellent.
Winning in the workplace is the most practical and results-driven training to increase your skills as a professional manager and leader. So are you ready to win in your workplace? Visit www.winningintheworkplace.com.